Hello there.
Hello, John.
Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I'm super.
Good.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. That's lovely. And it's great to have you on the show today, and thank you for talking to us.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Now, tell me a little bit about this album, because there's quite a story behind the creation of it. And
yeah. Well, as you know, everything stopped around March the 12th. All our work was stopped. So I was actually packed and ready to go to Serbia, and that was cancelled. So then, it was obvious there was going to be a long break ahead of us. And I simply started walking around the countryside in Tipperary. And I started noticing all the animals and the birds around. So I started taping them, recording them on my phone. And then I saw that there was a few grants available, for inspiring work during this lockdown. So I kind of put together a proposal and started writing music. And my challenge to myself was to write 10 tunes and play them on 10 different instruments. So that kind of became my goal, I suppose. And I recorded that as a short movie, which I showed up on Facebook Live. And then the obvious thing then was to turn it into an album. So I kind of manufactured the album myself and added 4 new songs as well onto it.
Brilliant.
So it kept me going, and it kept me very creative and very grounded. And, it was a very, very pleasurable and exciting thing to be involved in.
Certainly is, because, when you're a member of a band of whom there are some very strong front people, in the case there's Liam and Fiachna, who are often looked upon as the two main people out front, and you're a multi-instrumentalist as well then too, but you're not really known, say, as a solo performer in your own right. It's kind of like a challenge in that respect to kind of come forward, if you like, and put your own stamp on things and do things your own way, regardless whatever way they turn out.
Exactly. Well, I was doing it really only for myself, it was something to keep me sane.
Right.
And I've always been writing. I've written with the band for, since day one in 1985. So it was just kind of like the gates opened and here was this opportunity for me to do something myself. And it was a very natural thing to do. As I say, I've always been writing, so the tunes kind of came very quickly. It was just trying to decide what instruments to use and which pieces to use. So for me it was just a natural. As I said, the gates opened and suddenly there was time available and there was space, and there was also, I just said, there was social media, so there was a platform for having that music out there.
Yeah.
And as I said, it kept me sane and kept me excited.
Because for a lot of musicians, this, in fact, and probably for every musician, basically, let's be honest about it, this whole situation was A, unexpected, B, unprepared for, and in some cases, it's completely turned people's lives upside down and inside out, both artistically, personally, creatively, in other words. But it's also unleashed something else, which is something that we've been featuring on the show for quite a lot, which is the fact that musicians have been performing, have been writing, recording, and making music during this time, and finding some way or other, whether releasing a CD like you have and making a video, making a movie like you have, or else getting the songs out there online. But the music is actually coming out. And people, and on our side of the fence, we're only delighted to see it come out because we're only too happy to promote it and get it out to more people. So, there's been a lovely creative process that's kind of happened in this situation.
Yeah, exactly. Musicians will always be able to play music. It's the people around the industry that depend on the musicians for their work, like in venues and road crew, lighting technicians, everybody. But the musicians, like we started on the streets in Grafton Street in Dublin in 1985. So that busking is always something that we can do,
Yes.
So in a way, what we're doing at home, or all other musicians, is they're just now using alternative ways to get their music out there. And suddenly, the thing that we were complaining about and concerned about, i.e. the social media, that people are too much on social media. That now became the only way we could communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So, it opened up loads of doors, all the Facebook Live gigs, Instagram gigs. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to see artists, new artists coming out and very established artists, performing very stripped down shows with guitar or piano.
Yeah.
So it's making people think differently. It's just all the road crew around it, and the venues have been
have been really hit,
harder in a way. At least musicians can kind of jam, and they can dream, and they can write, and they can keep going. But there's been a lot of great stuff has happened, people are kind of thinking in a different way. They've become quite more independent than they already
have
were
before. And as Luca Bloom makes a point, is that once he said, once upon a time there were things called record companies, and they were great crack, as he says in his letter to Hot Press. And I mean, you were signed to London Records for a long, long time, going back 4 or 5 years, from the late 80s up into the mid 90s, wasn't it? As the Hot House Stars, apart from the first single on Mother Records, which was a once-off situation.
That was the beginning, that was the Love Don't Work This Way was the first single done.
That's right, Love Don't Work This Way, backed with Sea Lion Woman, and there was another track on it, I think, if memory serves me right, I can't remember. But that was the time when Maria Doyle Kennedy was in the group as well, wasn't it? Yeah,
Maria was kind of the first singer, they all went to school together, Liam, Fiachna, Maria was in that circle pre-1985. So Maria was actually the main singer in 85, 86. And Liam was kind of would do the odd, do his share of singing as well. And then Maria, had to leave because of her mother duties, I suppose.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
it was getting very, very busy for us. So it was, so she's gone on to do great things as well.
She has indeed, certainly, And the Flowers went on to do great things as well then too, with many hit records and hit albums and world tours and everything. But now but I mean, it's very interesting to see where yourselves is concerned, because Liam has 2 solo albums out, which he has done prior to this whole situation. Fiachna has done a solo project with that band that he had going with Caught O'Riordan, the name of which, Prenup. Yes,
he had a band, Prenup. Yeah,
that's right. But I mean, this is your your solo effort now, coming from this situation. And tell me, I mean, I'm looking at copy number 300 out of the 500, because I think you number them all. So how far has it gone sales-wise so far? Have you sold the first batch, or what's happened there?
Well, I'm pretty close to it. I'm selling it via mail or via email order.
Yes.
And the idea was just to do a limited run. And then my intention is to actually go out and do it as a show, 10 tunes, 10 instruments, 1 man, So, but very, very happy with it. I'm not exactly sure where we're at, because it's been distributed by a different person. But very, very happy with the way it's going. And
well, I'll tell you this much: number 300 out of the first 500 is mine. So
that's pretty good.
So if that's any indication, I'm looking at copy number 300 now.
We're over halfway there.
You are. You're nearer you're nearer there than you were when you sent it to me.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I'm very happy, and as I said, my intention is to go out, and I think it'll be an interesting tour, and it would give me the chance, because obviously I play a lot of instruments, and I have a lot of songs that I want to sing myself. So it's just sort of something has opened up for me.
Indeed, it has, and also the visual aspect, because you mentioned earlier that you had made a movie, and that you could show this movie as part of the show then too, which is kind of similar.
It's there's so much that you can do. Once you kind of start thinking in a different way. And I've made 2 videos now for singles from that record, and I've made them myself. So it just, the first Far Off Beautiful World, I just went out with a basketball and said, okay, I'll see what happens, and it just turned into a video. So creative thinking, you just have to think differently, and and not be afraid and just do it,
Yeah.
Close your eyes and just do it.
Exactly. Because, I mean, you feature some very interesting instruments on this album, because there's a couple of ones that, we know you play bass, bouzouki and mandolin. They're the normal ones. But I see you playing guitar. I see you playing guitar, banjo, space guitar. How did you manage that?
Well, the space guitar it basically is an electric guitar with heavily affected. So if you hear it without the effect, it sounds kind of it sounds pretty normal. But with the effect, it just gives it this whole space interesting kind of delay vibe. So it's a big chunky jazz guitar with huge effects on it. So I just called it the space guitar. And then there's a Zhong Ruan, which is a Chinese guitar, which is on the front cover there. I got a lend of it from an amazing photographer, Tara Keane, and she said, "Peter, I think you'll get something out of this." So I just started playing around, and Butterfly Leaf came as a kind of a theme. So that I kind of just improvised with this theme that I have. So for me, it was just fun. And basically, it starts off with harmonica, which is the first instrument I ever learned.
Right.
And it goes right down to something like the Zhong Ruan and the piano, which are kind of instruments I learned at a later stage.
So there's a kind of
it kind of curves.
So there's a kind of chronological
there's a story,
thing
like
going.
an arc to it, from the beginning to now,
Right, brilliant.
And in the movie, I just kind of mention, little stories, backstories of how I learned and where I was at when I picked up this instrument or that instrument, So it gives a little bit, of my story through my early days to now.
Brilliant, and that's fantastic. Now, I mean, with gigs kind of opening up in a small kind of way. Again, maybe with more spacious kind of rooms, spacious arrangements of seating, and say for solo artists is ideal. I mean, your show would be ideal for, the situation that is actually coming up. So, I mean, it's probably the natural next thing to kind of think about taking it out there in front of an audience and playing it live.
As I said. Yeah, like it is something that I will do, definitely will do. And I know the band is basically, we've some shows that have been rescheduled, and we have our fingers crossed that they will happen, because stuff is still being moved around,
Yeah, that's right.
And nobody really knows what's going to happen, until it starts happening.
Yeah, because I mean,
so we can only keep our fingers crossed,
Because I mean, obviously, a lot of the bands have planned ahead. They've cancelled their tours for this year, but they've put them forward to next year.
Yeah.
So that's what most people seem to be doing, in the hope that everything will be into some kind of situation whereby these things can happen then. But in the meantime,
it can happen safely. Yeah.
Yes, safely and without any hassle for anybody concerned. And but in the meantime, this situation seems to be, as you said, it's opened up a very new door for you, and it's opened up it's brought all the pieces of your musical life together into one kind of create a cohesive kind of whole, and it's given you a space whereby you can now make your contribution, and it's one hell of a contribution. I must say, it's incredible to hear the individual styles coming through in the songs and in the tunes, because I mean, even in the first piece we played, The Red Tin Roof, starts off like a slow air, reminds me a bit of the Lament for Limerick, and then it goes into this raucous stomp at the end on the harmonica, and it's just amazing.
Exactly. Like you can hear it on the record. I basically recorded the record on one microphone,
right?
So you can hear I naturally play from my body, from my heart, from the depth inside of me. So I'm not aware that my feet might be stamping on the ground or that I'm breathing heavily or any of this. So you hear all of that throughout the record. And with the harmonica tune, The Red Tin Roof, when I start moving, you can hear the feet going.
Yes.
The same with like the Tipperary cockerel on the banjo. It's just basically one microphone and one man doing his thing with all, loads of instruments and 10 tunes and 4 songs. So
indeed,
it's very natural.
And
very,
it's
very
fabulous.
natural.
And are you pleased with the reaction to it so far?
I am like I'm blown away. You know, my whole philosophy is not to get too high or get too low. So I'm just so happy. Every day there's new comments coming in. Every day there's nice people. People are sending goodwill towards it. Old friends are talking about it. Journalists are mentioning it. People are getting, as I said, commenting on it. So, and people are buying it. So that's amazing, So for me, I had no huge expectations commercially of how it would do. And it's just kind of it has momentum at the moment. So I'm delighted.
Brilliant. And we're delighted that it's doing so well for you. And I'm delighted to have you here on the show today. And it's been my absolute pleasure to talk to you, Peter O'Toole. And I know we'll talk again at some point.
Thanks for supporting it. It means a lot. Yeah.
No problem at all.
We will. And maybe I'll call over and do a tune or something.
Yes, that's what we'll do next. We'll have you live here in the studio for a chat and a few tunes and bring some instruments
we'll meet
with you.
face to face.
We will. We'll do it. That's a deal, Peter. Okay.
All right.
In the meantime...
And listen, John, thanks for supporting all the music. It's brilliant.
No problem at all, Peter. So if anybody wants to get Leaving White Cedar, they can get it from you. They can order it from your Facebook page, can they?
They can, and I've an email which is enjoymusicpromotions@gmail.com, so they can get it from there. It's basically a limited run, so... I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
No, definitely not. And we haven't been disappointed so far. So we're going to play Far Off Beautiful World. Peter O'Toole, thank you so much for your time and for making this wonderful album and being part of Eclectic Celt today. Thank you so much.